everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be a reading for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the period of September 20th to the 26th. Now, there is a lot of energy moving around this week. So on the 20th, we have a full moon in Pisces. On the 22nd, we have the fall equinox. And on the 23rd, the sun is moving into Libra. So happy birthday to you Libras watching after the 23rd of the month. So let's see what the major themes are here for my birthday Libras this week. Higher perspective. Okay, so Libras are going to be reaching for, attaining, and understanding potentially a higher perspective. So this is very interesting. This card really always makes me think of the idea of changing how you look at a situation and adopting a less rigid sort of focus on the world, so that you're not just looking at the world through one peephole. You're sort of taking a look through as many as you can so that you can see as much of the picture as possible, instead of just looking through one narrow piece of the Swiss cheese, and always choosing that same perspective over and over again, always looking at the world through the same lenses. Looks like you're going to pick up a different set of glasses, my dear friends who are Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so let's jump into the tarot to uncover more information about this higher perspective that Libras are going to come into contact with. Let's see here. Oops. So the Seven of Cups took out the higher perspective. That's kind of funny. Okay, hang on. Let's get these cards on the table and see what we're dealing with here. So we've got the Lovers on the bottom of the deck. So it looks like we're looking at some choice. We're looking at maybe a Gemini involved in your scenario here, or we could just be looking at a situation that involves choice on a very meaningful level with, and potentially including another person. So choices that involve relationships. Now, what I can see is that you are frustrated with the relationship that you're in currently. So the union that you're in right now, Libra, is not the happy ending that you had hoped for yourself. And you're starting to understand that maybe this relationship was brought in for a higher purpose. Okay, it could be that this relationship is going to be teaching you how to attain that higher perspective. And I feel like that might be what you're saying to yourself, Libra, when you think about this relationship. That when you think about this relationship, you're sort of like, I am not in a place where I feel like my dreams are coming true. I feel like, if anything, I'm living out my worst nightmare. Like, honestly, this is a very specific message about a relationship for a Libra that is the opposite of what they had hoped for themselves. So this is a very specific reading. It's not going to resonate for all of you, so don't force it. But I may have a Libra watching who is living what they would consider their relationship nightmare, because this is in reverse. This means that you're not just worrying about it. This is actually happening in your day to day. So, and it's rooted in a relationship, a very stable relationship that has been in your life for maybe some time now. And it's a very committed relationship. I shouldn't say stable necessarily, but it's committed. These two people are committed to each other, but it's not working. There is something here that is not serving one or both of the people in this relationship. I would think it would be both people. If it's not serving one, it's probably really not serving the other. Now, it seems like the thing that's causing the big challenge for you is that you really feel like this was done intentionally. You feel like this other person has made a conflict with you because they intentionally were out to upset you. That seems to be the perspective that is creating the feeling of this being a nightmare. is this perspective that this was done intentionally. Now it's interesting that the guiding message for your reading is to take a higher perspective. So that actually makes me wonder, Libra, if you're interpreting this from one perspective instead of a higher perspective. Perhaps the way you're looking at this from the ground up is that this is an intentional betrayal and this person means to hurt me and frustrate me, and they're doing this intentionally. They could easily stop. But then top of mind for you, almost on an intuitive level, is like, you know what, maybe this was all prearranged to teach me something. And so it's interesting, Libra. I wonder if this is resonating for you, which of this coin you find yourself on. Do you find yourself on the part that says, no, this is a betrayal and it's intentional and they're making excuses and they mean to hurt me? Or are you of the perspective that this is a lesson designed and prearranged to teach you how to adopt a higher perspective when it comes to looking at this particular relationship? Right now, Libra, you're sitting here. You're sitting in the Four of Pentacles, which is really the energy of a Capricorn. So you're sitting here thinking to yourself, I don't have enough. I'm not enough. The world's not enough. My partner's not enough. This whole situation's not enough. Nothing is going the way I wanted it to go, right? There's that 10 of Cups. So this is driving your reading, the 10 of Cups in reverse, and this is your inner narrative about the situation. And it's like your inner narrative is one of lack. So you could be focusing right now on what's lacking in your relationship instead of the things that are going well in your relationship. And maybe there's nothing going well in your relationship. That's possible. But I challenge you to look and see if there is something positive, something to change your perspective to one of gratitude instead of lack, if it resonates. If it doesn't, if you're a Libra watching this and you're like, you know what, my partner is abusive, my partner is unkind and mean and you know, feels really negatively about the relationship and expresses that, then this isn't your reading. This reading is about a situation where it could go either way, it seems, and that it's all up to you. And it's interesting, I have a feeling there's a Capricorn involved here because there's the Queen of Pentacles and there's that Four of Pentacles, both Capricorn energy. You could have a Capricorn in your picture here, my friends, or a Gemini because of that Lover's card. But, you know, Libra, I really feel like you're trying to figure out which perspective is true. And I think you're starting to understand that the perspective that's true is whichever one you believe is true. So if you believe that your partner has done some things that are unkind and unfair and has sort of betrayed you intentionally, you will be able to find evidence of that for sure. But if you also believe that your partner is human and maybe their intentions weren't 100% out to betray you, then I bet you'll find some evidence of that too. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting. It almost is this sort of paradigm where it's like whatever we really believe is the true, we will find evidence of that in the external world. You know, it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic to consider that whatever you believe down to your, you know, core is the truth. You'll be able to find information to validate that perspective for sure. You can defend anything, right? You can find a way to defend any point, especially in relationships, because ultimately we can't know what the intention of the other person is. We're just guessing, right? We don't know, only they know. And they might not even consciously know what their intentions are. They might just know what sort of they might just feel what they feel on the surface, but not really know what lies beneath that. What's the intention behind that? Whereas in this Three of Swords here, you've decided that the intention was betrayal. And you've decided that it was on purpose, you know, and that this conflict has created a necessary separation. And so by having this perspective, of course, staying in that relationship is going to feel like a nightmare. Then you got to go. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like if that's what you've decided is the truth, Libra, then why are you still there? And I say that because in the upcoming energy, we see the Seven of Cups in reverse, which suggests that you're going to have a hard time choosing your path forward because you're struggling to understand what the path of your higher self is, which is also expressed by the High Priestess, who's in reverse at the end of your reading here. So the concluding energy of your reading is expressed by the High Priestess in reverse, suggests that you're finding it challenging to tap into that higher perspective. The higher self's perspective about relationships seems to be what is on your mind, and what should your path be going forward. Which of these cups is the one that's most aligned with your energy? Well, the interesting thing about all these cups is that the cup that you're seeking is the one that is the one that is full with your true self. These have illusions. Some of these cups are filled with things that speak to your ego, that are illusions. They're not actually real. They're just, it's fluff. It's there to almost be the, what's that called in a multiple choice? The distractor. You know, in the multiple choice test, they give you those, the answers that aren't the real ones, and they're meant to distract you. They're actually called distractor questions. And so it's almost like in order to get past all those distractors to meet this higher perspective, you're being called to your intuition. You're being called to tap into that inner guidance system to know. Because I feel you, Libra. I feel you here in the sense that your, biggest want and worry is that you just want to feel self-sufficient and happy and enriched and nourished. You want pleasure. You want to feel like you're living your best life. And you're worried that on this path with this individual in this relationship that you won't be able to live your best life, that it's not possible. And I feel like you've already made that decision that it's not possible. And then in that case, once you've made that decision and you've sort of put it behind your I am statements, like I am in a horrible relationship, or I am being used, or I am betrayed, I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like you've already made up your mind that this situation is impossible. And maybe it is, but then you need to make a choice about it. If it is really impossible, Libra, then, without being too blunt, what are you still doing there? If it's this bad, if it's gotten to the point where it's a nightmare that feels intentional, you got to go. You got to get out of it then, right? Like, you've got to make a decision that fits for you. You have to make a decision for you, Libra. And I feel like your outer shell is saying to people, I am resisting transformation. I'm going to stay in this state of limbo for as long as possible. I'm not pulling the trigger on a decision yet. It could go either way for you in terms of how other people are viewing you. Maybe you're talking to people about this. Maybe this is how your partner sees you. They sort of see you as a place where you're like, I'm not willing to sacrifice anything else. Sacrifice is at the top of your mind, and the way that you're coming across to others is that you're not willing to sacrifice and that you won't sacrifice. I feel like, Libra, that you're defining your boundaries, but you're not taking action, right? You're defining boundaries, but you haven't taken a choice yet. And I think that the choice began in the past. You have always sort of been at odds with this relationship. This relationship has always been something that you have seen the pros and cons, but you've never really been able to say, where you've landed in that. It's like both columns are pretty full, right? There's good and there's bad. There must be a balance there, or else I feel like you would have left. Maybe I'm mistaken, but the energy on the table suggests that you've been having a hard time with this, but that your perspective is one of what's missing. And the guiding message in your reading here is to take a higher perspective, potentially look at what exists instead of just looking at what's missing in this relationship and what you're lacking in that relationship, to look at what you have in the relationship. What is a good thing in this relationship? You know, like if you had to say why you were still there, what would you say? And maybe it would be something really practical, like money or kids. You know, like maybe you've got very practical reasons for staying. And so if that's the case, then there needs to be a balance, and it feels like the reading is guiding you towards your intuition to understand this situation from a higher perspective and to bring your inner guidance system in on this discussion instead of just trying to understand it with your mind, or emotions, right? Like there's no wands here, Libra. There's swords, pentacles, and cups. So you're looking at this from a practical, logical, and emotional perspective. You're using those three parts of yourself: logic, emotion, and practicality. Where's intuition? Where's spirit? Where? It's right here at the end of your reading in reverse, which suggests that you're resisting either the messages or you're resisting tapping into this in the first place. But your reading is guiding you towards a higher perspective on looking at this relationship. Okay, so let's close out your reading with a moon card to see, because the first day of your reading, September 20th, there is a full moon. Ooh, something just fell on my table. All my green stones just fell. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so let's close out your reading with a moon oracle card. September 20th is the full moon in Libra, or in Pisces, excuse me. Very emotional. Very emotional. So let's see what moon oracle guidance we have here for Libra. Whoa, 3 cards. Okay, interesting. We've got 3 cards for you here, and I want to start with this one. Look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture is essentially saying the same messaging of higher perspective. What is the bigger picture? Okay, the energy is gaining momentum on this situation. I feel like you've got to make a choice here. You're not going to be able to sit in limbo for much longer, but that luck is on your side. Okay? So this is very interesting. You've got 2 Sagittarian cards, a full moon and a new moon in Sagittarius. So perhaps this is going to resolve itself sometime in December, between December and January, which is the Sagittarius season. So, I mean, it's very interesting. And the energy is gaining momentum. So you must be feeling this. You must be feeling like something's lighting a fire under you to make a call on this relationship. It's either you're going to pronounce it or you're going to continue. Like, which is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're feeling that. And your message here from Spirit is to really look at the bigger picture. Tap into that higher perspective. And the High Priestess here, your intuition has messages for you that could be really helpful, Libra. I'm going to leave it at that. Wow, what a very powerful reading. If this has resonated for you and you would like a personal reading, my email is in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. And we'll see you again very soon for another reading. Sending you lots of love and light, my friends. Be well.